Hello chess fans, this is Rick from Chess to Impress with another update on the qualification cycle for the 2018 World Championship. Who will challenge Magnus Carlsen in 2018? We're in the middle of the FIDE Grand Prix, a series of 4 tournaments, part of the qualification cycle. The top 2 finishers of the Grand Prix will qualify for the 2018 Candidates Tournament, and the winner of that Candidates Tournament will challenge Magnus Carlsen in 2018. There are 24 players in the FIDE Grand Prix. Each tournament will be an 18-player, 9-round Swiss tournament. We have had 2 tournaments so far. Sharjah in the United Arab Emirates was held in February. Grishuk, Vachier-Lagrave and Mamedyarov won that tournament. And Ding Liren won the Moscow Grand Prix in May. This video is recorded in July 2017 and we're in the middle of the Geneva, Switzerland leg of the FIDE Grand Prix. In November, the last tournament will be held in Palma de Mallorca, and then we know which 2 players will have qualified for the Candidates Tournament. These are the standings after 2 events. Mamedyarov is a proud leader with Ding Liren in 2nd place. As you can see, not everybody has played 2 tournaments. The bottom 3 players, Giris, Fiedler and Rajabov, have only played in Moscow. Each player will play 3 events, and only after all 4 events have been completed will we be able to see what the real standings are. Let's have a look at a game from the Geneva leg, and let's look at a game from the leader of the Grand Prix standings, Mamedyarov. In the 2nd round of the Geneva tournament, Mamedyarov was white against Aronian-Mamedyarov from Russia. It was the 2nd round, played on the 7th of July 2017. Mamedyarov opened d4, knight f6, knight f3, d5, c4, e6, bishop g5, bishop b4 check. We are in a Queen's Gambit declined, the Vienna variation. Knight bd2, this gambits the c4 pawn. The main line is knight c3, and then h6, bishop takes, queen takes, and e3. But the move played in the game, knight bd2, is a very sharp continuation that Mamedyarov plays. Inarkiev takes on c4, e3, b5, hanging on to the pawn, a4, c6, bishop e2 developing, knight bd7, Mamedyarov castled, queen b6, queen c2, bishop b7, and b3. It gets very complicated now. Inarkiev played c3. The alternative is to hold on to the pawn with c takes b3 and knight takes b3. But after c3, Mamedyarov played his knight back to b1 and c5. Now we get a series of captures. Knight takes c3, c takes d4, and knight takes b5. 3 consecutive captures on 3 different squares doesn't happen too often. White has his pawn back. Rook c8 was played by Inarkiev. Castling is more natural, as mentioned by Grandmaster Yermolinsky in his analysis for ChessBase. A 4th capture on a different square would not have been good. Taking on e3 would not have been good because of bishop takes e3. And if the queen flees to a5, then there is knight c7 check with a fork, with a big advantage for white. So rook c8 was the move from the game. Queen is attacked, queen went to b2, and a6. Again, taking on e3 would not have been good. Bishop takes e3, queen a5, and then knight takes a7 is a strong move. So a6 hitting the knight was played, and Mamedyarov countered with a5, counter-attacking the queen. Queen went to c5, and Mamedyarov took a pawn. E takes d4, he's a pawn up now. Here Inarkiev played queen f5, not a bad move in itself, but it is an unfortunate square for the queen, as we'll see later. Queen e7 would have been normal, and then the variation knight e5, and taking the piece then is not good, because a takes b5, bishop takes b5, with an advantage for white. Both knights are pinned, the a pawn is very strong. This is a good position for white despite his material deficit. So after knight e5, h6 would have been good, rook fc1, and then black can castle and has compensation for the pawn. But as said, Inarkiev played the queen to f5, bishop back to d2, bishop back to e7, knight c3, and here a good move would have been h6, an interesting move would have been e5, but Inarkiev castled. And as Grandmaster Yermolinsky says, one move is not an indication of bad form, but how does a super GM blunder his queen like this? If you want to look for the move that wins the queen, you can put the video on hold. Mamedyarov played knight f3 to h4. And there are no variations even. The queen is attacked and simply doesn't have any squares. Inarkiev resigned. There's nothing left for black. He's just simply losing his queen. 20 moves. Big shock to the system for Ernesto Inarkiev, and a nice quick win for Mamedyarov at the start of this tournament. A few years ago this had happened to Mamedyarov himself in a very important tournament, also a tournament for the World Championship. It was the Candidates Tournament of 2014, which was in the end won by Anand. This is from the second round: white Levon Aronian and black Shahriar Mamedyarov. After 13 f4 f5, Mamedyarov played his knight back to e7, which was a blunder. He should have played queen g5, that was the only move, because after knight e7, Aronian played knight d e4, and that's the move that Mamedyarov had missed. It wins the queen in a slightly more complicated way than we just saw in the Mamedyarov-Inarkiev game. Mamedyarov took on e4, knight takes e4, attacking the queen. Queen has only got one square on h4. g3, attacking the queen again. Queen h3, only square. And knight f2 finally traps the queen. Queen takes f1 was played. King takes f1. Knight takes f5. Black has rook and bishop for the queen, but it turned out not to be enough. And Aronian won after 44 moves. So 3 years later, Mamedyarov was sitting at the other side of the board of a queen being trapped. That time he was sitting on the good side of the board. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the Chess to Impress channel. I'm looking forward to your comments, and if you liked the video, it would be great if you could share it on social media by clicking the share button on YouTube. You also may want to check out my Chess to Progress channel. The link is in the description box. And I've also added the link to the videos that I've made so far on the qualifying cycle for the 2018 World Championship. This is Rick from Chess to Impress. Thank you very much for watching.